North, south, east, west. Homemade cake is what is the best, you guys. You will not find this cake to buy anywhere else. It is tangy, it is delicious, it is my favorite cake right now. My name is Yemisi. Welcome to my channel. For a list of the ingredients and the measurements, please check the description box. I'm going to highlight each ingredient as I go along. Before we go on, I wanted to show you my digital scale. I showed you guys in my last donut recipe video, and I want to show it again because this is what I use to make sure I try to get accurate results. The thing with baking, if the results or if the measurements are not correct, it will not give you the results that you desire. So this is what I use right now, and I absolutely love it. So what I do first of all is I put my bowl, whatever I'm using to measure, and I do some mathematics. If someone had told me that I would be doing mathematics to bake, I would not have believed it. So I measure the weight of the bowl, and then I measure the weight of what I'm baking. So in this case, flour, and I add it together. The total figure is what I used to bake, if you guys get it. This is the exact Greek yogurt I use for this recipe. I use it all the time. It makes the final results fantastic. And I wanted to share with you guys the exact products I use, because I noticed when I use products for my recipe, you always want to know, SISI, which exact one? Show us picture, let us see. So this is the exact Greek yogurt I'm using for my cake. And it gives it such a lovely, lovely flavor, you guys. I can't find this cake anywhere to buy. This is the butter I'm also using. It's unsalted butter and it is at room temperature, so I need to make that clear. Everything I'm using in this video is at room temperature, so nothing is cold, and I have already preheated my oven before I started mixing everything and measuring. When it comes to baking, the type of product or even just the brand of product you use affects the total outcome of what you're baking. So I notice if I use another kind of butter, I get a different result. So I really like the flavor I get when I use this particular butter. For me, the measurements is what takes time because I have to calculate everything to get it right. But once that's done, it goes by so quickly and your cake gets ready very fast. Now I'm measuring the sugar, and once we're done with that, we will mix the batter. The first thing is to beat the butter. So I have this hand mixer that I use all the time. I'm just going to use it to beat the butter. You want the butter to be fluffy, so I do it for about 5 minutes. When I was younger, my mom used to bake cakes for weddings, like big proper cakes, and this part was the part I used to dread the most because we used to do it by hand. So you beat the butter by hand and then you add sugar and you beat it till you no longer can feel the texture of the sugar. It was so hard, but the result was always worth it. Now I thank God for technology because we can use a hand mixer, stand mixer, and just make the whole process easier. Because I'm using a wide bowl, you always have to scoop the butter back to the center so that you can whip it some more. Now I'm going to add some of the sugar. This is granulated sugar. I'm just going to keep mixing it. There's something I do when I feel like I have time. I blend the granulated sugar so it becomes like castor sugar. It becomes very powdery. So you can choose to do that, or you can just do it the way I'm doing it. If you've watched to this point, it means you like what you see, right? Please click the like button, it helps me out, and also leave a comment on what your favorite cake flavor is. Is it vanilla? Is it coconut? Just let me know in the comment section. As you can see, it has become light and fluffy. If you're using some type of butter that is yellow, you will notice that the butter has become whiter. That's how you know you're kind of ready. Now I add my eggs. I add one at a time, mix everything, then you add the next one till you're done with all the eggs you're adding. For the measurements and the list of ingredients, please check the description box. It will be there. This is a vanilla pound cake, so I'm using this vanilla flavoring. I've seen it in a couple of supermarkets and I like the flavor, it's all right. So I'm just going to use about 1 teaspoon for this recipe. If I'm calling any measurements in this video, do not pay attention to it. Just check the description box for the correct one. So I'm just going to mix everything together and then it will be time to add our Greek yogurt. Now I'm going to add the Greek yogurt. This yogurt is vanilla flavored Greek yogurt because I wanted to make sure that the flavor of vanilla was very intensified in this cake. So that's what we're using. You can use plain yogurt. You can change the flavor of this cake. You can have pineapple, you can have mango. It depends on the flavorings you have available. But I like the vanilla one, plain and simple. Now it's time to mix the dry ingredients. I'm using a sieve, but I'm going to add the baking powder. This is the baking powder I used. I'm going to add the baking powder to the flour and sieve everything together, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Sometimes when you buy flour, there are just some things in it, especially when you buy flour from like a local vendor. Sometimes we have these weevils in it. Sometimes there are just items that should not be there, so it's important you sieve the flour. And then for the baking powder, sometimes they are in clumps, as you can see, and if you leave it in the batter, you can be eating cake and just have a nasty bite of baking powder, and it is not nice. It tastes like eating a bite of salt when you're eating cake. It's not nice. So you have to just melt that and then sieve all the yama away. Can you guys see all the nastiness in that flour? You see why you need to sieve? Very important. Now I'm just going to fold everything in. You don't have to do this for long. You only have to do it till everything is properly combined. I'm using a medium loaf pan for this recipe. I love this pan. I have about 2 of them and it's 8.5 inches by 4.5 inches, and it's just perfect for this recipe, for this portion. So I'm going to put some butter and then I'm going to add some flour just to coat it. Now that I've coated it, I'm just going to transfer the butter and then just put it nicely and just make sure everything comes out so that we're not wasting any butter. We don't want anything to waste. And it doesn't have to be perfect. This is just homemade cake. It's not going to win an award for the best looking cake, even though you can try. But we just want to eat this cake. Okay? So put everything and just try to smoothen out the top a little bit. Now that I've tried to smoothen the top, we're going to transfer to the preheated oven. This is what the finished product looks like. It was so delicious. It was so yummy. It is something you can make within 1 hour. If you try this recipe, please let me know. Tag me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, anywhere. Just send me an email. Let me know you tried it. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.